this morning I will say a few words, and then in the hour workshop, Winnie and I will speak together about community and what we have learned together. But for the moment, just a word from Winnie.
Shalom. C'est pour moi un grand honneur d'être ici avec vous. Je réalise souvent que le malheur souvent contribue au bonheur. Je me lamentais, je me disais, Dieu, pourquoi tu me donnes tout ce malheur? Mais peut-être, s'il n'y avait pas le malheur, je ne pouvais pas voir tout ce qui est déjà au-devant de moi dans cette vie au Canada. Je suis du Congo, là où il y a trop d'atrocités, là où on tue les gens, là où il y a beaucoup de pertes en vies humaines. Mais Dieu m'a donné cette occasion d'être ici avec vous, de voir tout ce que vous traversez dans la vie. Et je ne veux pas être trop long, mais je veux vous dire que Dieu est pour nous tous. Soyez forts et c'est vraiment bien de vivre ensemble en frères. Merci beaucoup.
And Eli also has a lot to say, which we may hear from him. So we are happy to be with you this morning. As Winnie said, we're honored. Our lives, in ways that you do not know, have been profoundly touched by the history and the spirit of L'Arche. Our interns always read Jean Vanier's Growth in Community as part of their introduction to Romero House. So we know you are out there doing good, and that somehow we are all together in this marvelous effort to do good, to be good, and to be gracious. So we are here today to say thank you. Profoundly thank you for who you are and what you are doing. It's okay. We'll wait to hear from Eli. I have often spoken at L'Arche's gatherings, and I would simply say again that I really believe that L'Arche is the most living critique of all of the myths of modernity, of Western modernity, the myth that efficiency matters, the myth that we are all rugged individuals, the myth that we, as isolated individuals, that's who we really are, the myth of success. All of these myths are profoundly critiqued, not philosophically, not theologically, but by the very existence of large communities. That just by being together, you are saying there is another way. So in many ways, our communities are quite similar. We live together. We value community. Everything we do relies on relationships between people in community. And it's these relationships that we know are usually mysterious, miraculous, difficult, challenging. But it's where each one of us has experienced both great grace and sin together. But it's at times such as this, in gatherings such as this, where we pause and we breathe together. You and I, you, all of us together, and we become centered. We remember that film about Musa was amazing. Or as one of the little boys in our houses says, that was awesome! And reminds us of why Musa saying, everybody has a reason. There is a purpose and a meaning, even in the greatest suffering. And to bear witness to that, to remember. Now, you're going to have a lot of discussions about how to do this, how to do that, what's worked, what hasn't worked, all the mistakes and the successes. But that's really a secondary conversation. What we need to touch into is the memory and the hope of why we are here. Why we are here. What draws us together? What makes us large? What is that mystery that holds us? And everything else is easy. Once you know why you're doing something, everything else is easy. I mean, money, actually, I hope those of you who are on boards don't have a heart attack, but money is always easy. As somebody said to me once, I mean, you can always rob a bank. It's always there, out there. You just have to find it. But the really important thing is to remember why we're here, what it is that we really love. What is it that we really want to do that gets us up? That's right, Eli. That gets us up in the morning. And I think at Romero House, we are constantly tempted to relate as social workers and clients or landlords and tenants. And it is a constant effort and gift to remember, no, we are members of the same community. We are called to live as good neighbors, refugees, and those who are more settled. And when we get that right, when we breathe that, when we live it, everything else falls into place. And I'm deeply convinced, for example, at Romero House, when I know, when I really understand what it means to be a good neighbor, how good that is, everything else is okay. All the crazy institutional stuff, all the difficulties with money, all our real difficulties with a harsh and crass government, they find their place. And we find the heart and soul to say, we'll deal with it. We will deal with that, but it's not the most important thing. I do know that at Romero House and at large, belonging is an important value. For us at Romero House, we want newcomers to feel they belong, not just in our little community, but in our country. We want to be able to say, in spite of everything they might hear from the government, we want you here. You belong here. You are of great value to all of us. So this is a profoundly countercultural stance that we at Romero House and you at large live. It's not easy. It's very difficult. And it's not, and I want to emphasize it, it's not because we are weak and wussy people. It's not because we're a bunch of nerds or whatever. You know, I think very often when we have difficulties in community, we tend to take it on as a personal problem or somebody else's personal problem. But remember that the culture we live in, all the time, every day, says to us, community doesn't matter. You're on your own. Make it on your own. And I often quote the statistic just to prove this, that the average North America who watches TV, listens to the news, by the end of his or her life will have assimilated 3 solid years of advertising alone. Just advertising. And that advertising says to us, you're the center of the world. You're in control, or you should be. And you have the ability to fix things, even to fix people. So what we are trying to do is profoundly difficult, and not just because of who we are, but because of the culture that we live in. And so, and this is the one simple thing I want to say this morning. We cannot do this unless we are truly and really centered in God. Really. Not just in words, but really. That we belong together because we all belong to God. All of us. Every one of us belongs to God. And it's that one simple, breathing, living insight that sustains us in all those times when we don't belong together, or when the world that we live in says to us, as we experience this at Romero House, you don't belong here. You don't belong in this country. And so every day, we need to find our way to this deep mystery that we all belong in God's hands. And so I do know at Romero House, the most important thing we do together is that we pray together in the morning every day. And actually, the words that we say or the songs that we use are not that important. What is important is that we gather together, and we, by just being there, are saying we are held together by someone bigger than any of us, by a large mystery, by very large hands, by the hands of God who hold us all together. And I also think and say this to the young interns at Romero House, and the next important thing you have to do every day is consider what you do before you go to sleep. And somehow, whatever words you want to use, you have to be able at the end of the day to hold all the people you have lived with, all the problems you have experienced, all the joys, and give them over to the hands of God. Leave them there, and then go to sleep. Just let go. Go to sleep. And in those two simple moments of how you begin the day, how you end the day, you are somehow, not in theory, but in practice, saying, we all belong in God's hands. So Winnie and Eli are in God's hands. We are all together. We belong together. And we're very happy to be with you, and we'll spend more time talking with you in the breakout group. So thank you very much, and peace be with you.